So we are going to pick up right where we left off last time. We were after just looking at this footage of the second chick fledging. And it was so good I thought I would just show you the second time in this video. As it's really not too often that you get this footage. You really would either have to be waiting there for a long period of time and just hope that they fledge when you're there. But thankfully, I just happened to be out there and just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And thank God I was, as we were treated to something very special. We saw this chick hesitate quite a few times to go. He nearly falls out of the nest hole just there. He has a look over in my direction. And now you can start to see him just eye up the trees that he wants to try to fly over to. And he flies so well, he really gets a good first flight and he flies straight across to them. No bother at all. What a bird. So how did the other 4 chicks fare? Well, this was straight after the second chick leaving. And there always seems to be an increased period of activity when a chick leaves. I would imagine it stirs something in them and tries to prompt them to leave. These 2 chicks at the front of the nest box seem to be competing for the nest hole. And the 2 in the back look like they're going nowhere. If I was to guess, I would say they are the youngest chicks, the ones that were to hatch last. And in this activity, the 3rd chick actually eventually leaves. It leaves at some stage in this period. It shows its tail there for a second, and then suddenly, it's not there anymore. And so now we only have 3 chicks in the nest box. Mindy and Mork continue to feed the 3 chicks in and out of the nest. But the rate at which the chicks are fed in the nest box definitely reduces. This would be in part due to the fact that there are now 3 chicks outside the nest box that need to be fed also. But it would also act as encouragement for these chicks to leave the nest box. But these 3 chicks don't look like they're going nowhere. One does have a look out at about 7:20. But decides against it. Probably wise as it's so late, and these 3 chicks actually end up spending the night in the nest box. And this will be sadly the last time we'll be seeing 3 chicks cuddle up in the nest box. A bittersweet moment indeed. And the last night in the nest box goes off without a hitch. And that leads us to the final day in the nest box. Our 3 chicks wake up at around 5:20. We see the nest is starting to look a little bit messy. And that would be due, of course, as these chicks are getting older, they're harder to manage. But also, the parents are visiting less and less. One chick decides to check out the nest hole. Is it about to leave? Well, it would turn out not just yet, but these chicks are gonna have to get a move on. Mindy and Mork do be in with some food, but it is reducing. Also, if all chicks are kept together, their survival rate would definitely increase. We see another chick decides to check out the nest hole. It checks it out a few times, and it's really thinking about leaving. And eventually it plucks up the courage. It flies up to the nest hole one more time. Not too gracefully, I may add. And if you listen out, you will hear it leave momentarily. And there it goes, another Bluetit out into the world. These last 2 remaining chicks must start to realise what's going on, as it's getting a lot quieter in there. So much so that another chick decides to hop up to the nest hole to see what all the fuss is about. Struggles a little bit to land on the nest hole, but eventually gets there. It sits there for a few moments and contemplating its decision. Once it leaves, it can't come back. And in a moment, you will hear it makes its decision. And then there was one. I can't be sure, but I would love to know if this was the last chick that hatched. It would make sense, as it would be a day or two younger than all the rest. And it will certainly be at a disadvantage in the sense of how strong it is when it leaves the nest box. It doesn't look like it wants to leave at all. But it hasn't been forgotten about. Mindy comes in with a bit of food as gentle encouragement to try to get it, to prompt it to leave, maybe. And it gets loads of suet or fat from the fat feeder that they've been bringing loads of food from. And this is the last feeding in the box. As, just a little while later, the chick hops up to the nest hole. Takes one last look around by the looks of it, and decides to leave. And all of a sudden, the nest box is a very different place. A whole story has played out here, but it isn't the end just yet. In the next video, I go out and look for our juvenile Bluetits. And do I find them? Well, if I'm telling you about it, it's probably a good sign. So look forward to one more video in the 2021 Nestbox series. And I'm also going to put in a complete time lapse of the whole nesting season also, so look out for that video as well. And I'm definitely going to be vlogging my beekeeping now, as I've got a huge response from that. So thank you everyone who commented on that. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.